Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, we ended up getting a brand new community update for Battlefield 6, detailing a ton of their changes from the beta, a lot of plans for launch. This is not the full launch update patch notes. They did specify those are coming later this week with an absolute ton of changes, but this gives us a really good insight into a lot of the adjustments, a lot of the changes that they've made so far, the things that they've wanted to detail up until this point. So we got a pretty lengthy blog to detail here with their new community update, Play Your Way. They say, hey everyone, in this community update, we are sharing how we are translating insights from community feedback into changes and improvements for the launch of Battlefield 6 later this week. Only a couple of days away now, folks. Of course, we're going to be covering so much when it comes to Battlefield 6. So if you want to make sure you are up to date with everything going on as we get into the launch period here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, help us climb one step closer to reaching 1 million subs. And if you guys enjoy this video as we go through all the new updates, all the details here, be sure to drop a like as well. It is always seriously appreciated. But they say what we learned with over 30 Battlefield Lab sessions successfully completed alongside our community and a total of 92 million hours played during the open beta, Battlefield 6 is the most tested Battlefield in history. It's got more ways to play than ever, and through the open beta, we aim to validate at scale that offering multiple playlists in parallel would not compromise the authentic Battlefield experience. Here's a closer look at some of the most important data points we reviewed and our summarized findings for each. So class pick rates, obviously a big discussion. The map layout was the main deciding factor for class picks. For example, support had a higher pick rate on Siege of Cairo, which is a CQC focus map. On Iberian Offensive, with more long distance combat opportunities, we saw an increased pick rate for recon. Certainly makes sense. Comparing between open and closed weapon playlists, we observed mostly identical class pick rates with 1 to 2% differences at most. So kind of reinforcing that open weapons was actually working pretty well still, wasn't causing an overwhelmingly, negative impact on gameplay with people using classes that were just really bizarre. Kills per hour also remained virtually consistent for both playlist types. Open weapons scored 0.2 more kills per hour in Conquest and 0.1 in Breakthrough. The match length increased slightly with closed weapons playlist, maybe playing a little bit more tactically and realistic, up by 45 seconds or about a 3.75% difference for both Breakthrough and Conquest. We also observed a slightly higher revive rate for closed weapons at 3%. I have to imagine that's because people who are playing closed weapons are really dedicated to their roles and whatnot. And obviously those players are probably more in tune with needing to revive teammates. I can't count how many times somebody ran right over me as a medic and I'm sitting there typing in chat like, hey, can you help a man out really quick? What that does coincide with the longer match duration as well, for what it's worth. The signature weapon usage, more players played with non-signature weapons in open weapon playlists. However, recon players still favored sniper weapons over others, and their pick rate was identical between both playlist types. There was not a single dominant weapon archetype, and we observed a consistent and well-distributed pick rate between them. This balance shows that even with different playlist types, players explored a wide variety of options without one class standing out above the rest. So really good news there, I would say. Time in combat, there were no differences of note for players' time spent in combat. The actual differences were only fractions of a percentage. Were rounded up, they were identical. Lastly, another key insight from the open beta was that the vast majority of players, after trying both playlist types, chose to stick with open weapons. This reinforces our belief that open weapon is the right path forward for Battlefield 6. At the same time, we recognize that some players do prefer closed weapons. To support them, official closed weapon playlists will be available at launch. Additionally, closed weapon mutators will remain part of the Portal tool set, so players can create their own custom experiences. So basically, their data reaffirmed what they wanted to hear, I would say, in the fact that open weapon played really well, and then also closed weapon still had a solid player base too. They also detail menu and playlist updates here. For launch, we're making further changes and improvements to playlists and menus as a direct result of some of your feedback. All launch maps will be available across playlists from day one, giving you the freedom to play whatever map you prefer. We've tested multiple modes in a single playlist during the open beta and learned that players favored playlists with combined modes. We will continue to iterate and adjust playlists to deliver the best experience possible. You'll have the flexibility to play both single mode and mixed mode playlists. At launch, Conquest, Breakthrough, and Escalation will each have their own dedicated playlists. Alongside these, you'll see combined playlists such as Conquest and Escalation and Breakthrough and Rush, so you don't have to stop matchmaking when switching between those experiences. If you want to focus on a specific mode, you can always find that through the custom search on the server browser. Custom search enables you to select which map and or mode combo you want. If the search criteria is available there, you'll have a higher chance to be match made in your preference the more you broaden your search there, of course. Portal remains the tool for creating and customizing experiences, while the section in the main menu previously called Portal is now called Community. This is where you'll find the server browser, which is now prominently featured to make it easier to find and use. Separately, we will launch Breakthrough, Conquest, and Rush as verified modes in the server browser. This enables us to, for example, feature official hardcore experiences that we know many of you are excited for. At launch, you will also find new custom experiences designed to add even more gameplay variety. This will be your first chance to dive into new and improved Portal tool sets, now featuring powerful options like spatial editing, so fancy. We can't wait to see what you create with this. So launch playlist rotations. We've learned a lot from the open beta, and we're using your feedback as a foundation for launching Battlefield 6. When the game goes live, you'll find a range of playlist options to jump into, including single mode mosh pits for favorites like Breakthrough and Conquest, closed weapon experiences, intense close quarter battle playlist, action-packed all-out warfare playlist as well. They say we're going to be paying close attention to your feedback, adjusting playlists, and adding new options to make sure things feel fresh. They also talk about the future a little bit on the horizon. They detail some of the season 1 stuff. Of course, we covered this just the other day with some of the season 1 content that seems very, very exciting right away, and not that far after launch. October 28th, just a few weeks after, we're already going to see new map, new mode, new weapons, things of that nature. Our seasons are going to have more content than ever in a Battlefield game, and we'll unpack that with you in more detail during an upcoming moment. There is much more to look forward to beyond our seasons as our team continues reviewing Battlefield Labs data, player feedback, and ideating on new ideas for the future, starting with an exciting Battlefield take on Battle Royale. Separately, requests for naval warfare have not gone unnoticed, nor have the calls for certain fan favorite little helicopter platoons and more. We appreciate all the suggestions and want you to know that we're listening. With Season 1 and our roadmap ahead, we're excited to continue to build a Battlefield that reflects what players want. We'll continue reading and listening to community channels and can't wait to share more. So it seems like they're kind of teasing there's going to be more naval warfare on future maps, platoon, helicopter updates, things of that nature. They also say up next, the following gameplay updates will be included in our launch day patch with over 200 changes focused on bug fixes, balancing, and polishing for release. Stay tuned for the full launch day updates closer to launch. Once those patch notes are out, we'll be covering those in full, so stay tuned for that, of course. But here they say with the player, you'll notice that movement feels more responsive with changes made to pacing and with several movement issues addressed to keep gameplay smooth and balanced. With weapons, recoil has been rebalanced on automatic weapons, making long-range gunplay more characteristic, rewarding tap firing and bursting. Numerous weapon attachments have been fixed so they now display correctly in the menus and in-game. With gadgets, the LTLM2 has been refined with smoother deploy animations, updated visuals, and some fixes. The MBT Law is now the default engineer launcher with more accurate trajectory, improved guidance, and cleaner sights. The MAS 148 Glaive is enhanced with a more realistic missile path, improved zoom and lock-on, sharper scope visuals, and more reliable vehicle damage. Deploy beacons are now limited to 1 spawn per player, helping maintain balance with that. With maps and modes, Rush and Breakthrough layouts have been revised. Operation Firestorm has been updated with improved vaulting, lighting, performance, while Siege of Cairo spawn killing and out-of-bounds issues have also been addressed. UI and HUD elements are clearer with updated overlays, animated pings, new minimap options, and smoother loadout and deploy navigation. Settings and controls have been expanded with new options like VO volume sliders, sprint bob reduction, and a camera roll toggle for accessibility, and they've made other refinements across platforms. Audio has been cleaned up so pings are easier to hear, weapons and vehicles sound sharper, and missing delayed effects won't get in the way of your awareness. Netcode improvements reduce desync, they make time to death feel fairer, that's huge, and address cases of invisible damage. Thanks again for your trust and feedback. See you at launch. So that's just a sneak peek of some of the major changes coming for launch and some of their plans going into day 1 of Battlefield 6. Whole lot being detailed there with even more to come in the next few days. So you're not going to want to miss anything. Of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.